how do you see this? Now New Zealand cricket will be part of the Amazon Prime Video. How do you see and how do you think that the fans will respond to this?
Yeah, it's super exciting from my perspective, just that the women's games going to be able to be live streamed in India when it's a really exciting series leading into the World Cup. So I just think the exposure the game continues to get, that people have access to watching, India or New Zealand all around the world, is very exciting, and it's where the game's going. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be some people that'll be signing up to Amazon Prime pretty quickly to make sure they can watch all the action.
Right. So there are a lot of cricket is coming up, right? India tours, New Zealand, and of course the World Cup comes in. So, being a senior member of the side, how do you see this whole thing happening? Because, it's a lot to play for, and India and New Zealand have over the years developed an intense rivalry. So, how do you see it?
Yeah, it's going to be one of the most exciting summers I've ever had as a cricketer. Fingers crossed that none of this COVID stuff gets in the way, but it's all looking okay so far. And we just can't wait to have India here to be challenged in our own conditions against one of the best teams in the world leading into the World Cup. And it's 5 one-day matches, which we haven't played India in a one-day series for a long time. So we know that every match is going to be tough, and we just think it's the perfect preparation for a World Cup. And India will be pleased as well to be able to play in New Zealand conditions so they can compete well in the World Cup, which it's been a long time coming, having been delayed a year. So I'm sure every female cricketer who's part of it just can't wait for it to start.
Right. Suzie, obviously, I mean, just a few months away from the World Cup. So how are the team preparing for it? Like, I know a lot of players have been featured in the franchisee leagues, and there has been a little bit of bilateral series as well. But World Cup is a different ball game altogether. So how's the whole preparation?
Yeah, we've had a really different year of preparation. We had a tour to England, but leading up to that, we had camps every second week. So we had almost 6 weeks together on and off. So we'd have a week at home, going to camp for another week. Then we went on a 6-week tour to England. And then we've come back and we've joined our domestic team. So we've had a lot of domestic cricket, but in between that, Bob Carter, the head coach, has made sure we've had White Ferns camps. So we've spent a lot more time than we've ever spent together as a group. So when we're facing each other in the nets, we're challenging each other to be better. And we've had a lot of match scenario practice, which is very different to how we've gone about things in the past. So yeah, that's the way we've gone about it, just trying to spend as much time together as a group, making each other better rather than relying on our domestic programs to do that.
Right. And also, I mean, a lot of women cricketers have been batting for a women's IPL, and obviously you people play a lot of franchisee leagues. How do you think the women's IPL will benefit the game? Of course, it'll give a much needed platform to the girls across the continent. But how do you see women's IPL actually helping the game? Because there's already a few franchisee leagues like a WBBL already there. So what does a women's IPL bring to the table?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it in the past that franchise cricket has grown the women's game massively, and the Australian WBBL has been hugely successful. The 100 last season took off, and that's only going to get better when more and more players can become available. But for me, the one part missing is probably the IPL, and that's just in terms of the pure fan base that an IPL brings in. And I've said it for a long time now, the more professional players we can have around the world, the better the game's going to be globally. And, it might be players from countries like Ireland who don't always qualify for the World Cups that then can become professional cricketers through franchise and help grow the game in their own countries and just have more opportunities to play that top level cricket.
Just a few more questions. You have seen Indian cricket team come a long way, the women's cricket team, and you have played with quite a few of them in franchisee leagues and obviously bilateral series. What do you think has actually worked this team? Is it just a young pool of talent, or has India done something differently that has actually helped them in the recent past? Like, or what is that that you feel?
Yeah, I think for a long time, Mithali, Raj and Jhulan Goswami have led the way and led the standards in Indian women's cricket. And it's great that to have those senior players still there. But I think for me, they've really developed a core group of young players who, play cricket in such an exciting brand. And Smriti Mandana, one of the best players in the world, Harmanpreet Kaur, her ability to clear the ropes, and they've managed to discover some young talent in the last 3 or 4 years, Shafali Verma, and they've, I guess, thrust them into international cricket probably before people might have thought they were ready, but they've just shined and I think got excited about the opportunity to make this Indian women's team great, which they definitely have the potential to do. So I think with that, it's just driven the standards more within the national team, and the athleticism and the fielding of the whole group has really improved with 2020 cricket, and then probably been exposed to franchise cricket and other training programs around the world.
Exactly. And when you actually saw this bunch of players, say, 5 years ago, before the 2017 World Cup happened, and now when you look at them, like you said, there's a lot of talent, a lot being put together. What do you think is, do you think that India's, that second lot is ready? Because obviously, Jhulan or Mithali won't continue forever. So maybe perhaps this is their last World Cup. So do you think that second lineup is ready and, India can take it forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Jhulan and Mithali are going to be massive losses, but they have, not been involved in every game that India's played recently. So I'm sure there's players that are ready to step up. And I talked about Vastreka and Reddy earlier in terms of the pace bowling options they have. And, Goswami's world class. So you're never going to replace her, and the same with Mithali Raj, but they've definitely got depth now. That there perhaps won't be such a big hole that you would have thought there would have been 5 years ago.
And when it comes to New Zealand cricket, do you think that obviously there's a bunch of inexperience and youth put together? How do you, being the senior players of the side, how do you pass on the baton to the juniors who are coming to the system, and you give them time to settle in and then take on the responsibility? How has been the thing there? Because it's a similar equation there as well. A lot of seniors might not continue, maybe after a couple of years. So what's there?
Yeah, I guess the New Zealand team at the moment is really fortunate in that we have a lot of senior players. So, we can share the load of taking players under our wing that have a similar skill set, and we don't have to try and help everyone. So there's a lot of players to share that responsibility. I think the key is actually allow room for them to be themselves, and we have to move on at times and move with the game, and they are the culture of the team and where the team's heading. So it's about us adapting to the younger players as well, and learning from them about how to go about our cricket. So it sort of goes two ways. It's not just about us showing them the way, it's making sure we learn from them as well. And yeah, I'm just excited about the future of the game in New Zealand and the world. But it's just such an exciting time to be a part of women's cricket that I know a lot of players will be holding on a lot longer than they used to, because they don't want to miss out.
Right. And my last question, I'll break it into two parts. One is that what are your plans for the World Cup? Like, it's a final frontier that we are in, like just a few months from now, we'll have the World Cup. What are your plans for that? And also, for the last couple of years, the entire world has changed. And we talk about bio bubbles, mental health, everything has affected. Like being a regular member, being a regular player who play franchise cricket, international cricket, how do you cope with that? Because mental health is, something we genuinely need to address, because bio bubble is tough.
Yeah, I guess the first part of your question, planning for the World Cup, we are just making sure that every player is in the best possible shape physically and mentally they can be. And if that means taking a little bit of time out from the game, especially over this Christmas and New Year period, to spend time with your family, then that's really important. But when we train, we're training with real purpose and clarity. And going into that World Cup, we know we have to be peaking physically. And like you touched on, mentally is probably more important. It's been a tough couple of years for everyone around the world. We're very fortunate that we're at home at the moment, and we've got a relative amount of freedom, but that's not the case for everyone. And yeah, I think players have learned how important it is to say no to cricket when they're not feeling up to it mentally, and actually giving themselves that space to get themselves back to 100% before they take the field. And COVID's exaggerated, I guess, the need for that. And we've learned a lot about just stepping away and giving yourself that space when it is so intense. And I'm just hoping that in the future, whether there's COVID or not, players, look after their mental well-being first and foremost, and that cricket comes second.
Thank you, and all the best for the tournament, and good luck.
Thank you very much.